Hello and good evening for this Sunday, August 13th, 2023. We have just finished watching episode 5 of Big Brother 25, the week 2 HOH comp and nomination episode. I'm Dave Mader, joined with Jaemeel Robinson here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. Or you might be listening to us on the audio version. Thanks for being with us tonight. It's a late one. Golf seemed to delay everything. Jaemeel, it delayed 60 minutes and then 60 minutes delayed Big Brother. So
Oh no, they had to show the rerun of 60 Minutes because they're not showing any new episodes of 60 Minutes, but we had to make sure we saw that for sure.
well, I watch 60 minutes. I normally don't. So I guess there was that. I learned, but to your point, it's a rerun. So I watched this thing with the buffalo in Montana. And got the big preserve, but that's not really why we're here. We're here to talk about Big Brother 25, and spoilers. Ahoy! Of course, if you haven't seen this episode, you want to get out of here. But we'll be talking about this whole episode and the new HOH and the nominations and everything we got in this episode. So, Jaemeel, Haitham, which is how you say his name, is our new HOH out of this episode. A lot of things happen here with the scary verse, and Jared ended up in there, and then Jag ends up there, and ultimately we get Felicia. No, sorry, we get what's her name, Riley, and Cameron on the block. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to remember all these people's names. Yeah, and Jag's in the Netherverse or whatever. He's in the scary verse
for a time.
He's on the screen.
Yes.
And there was a lot going on in this episode. The HOH competition, like, it was okay. First of all, I hope you're relieved that the house guests are okay. Like, we didn't know what happened to them at the end of the episode, Jaemeel. Last on Thursday, this is what we saw. And now, Jaemeel, they're back. Like, they're okay. Like, they made it back. They went to another dimension and back. I think that's pretty admirable. And I think that when they exited the scary verse, the Nether region or whatever, for the Nether Gorgon, if you will, they had to jog. Like, they would sometimes walk into the portal, but then they would always be jogging out of the portal. And sometimes, like, they, a couple of people would be ahead of them, right? But then the two people catch up to them and go through, but they all come out the portal together. So is this like in Sliders when you had to go down like a sort of a tunnel and you're kind of riding it? I always presumed on your belly, if I don't know if you saw Sliders with Jerry O'Connell and back in the 90s. Anyway, I've gone on a bit of a rant, sir. How are you tonight?
First off, I would like to wish you a happy Michael Cera Day. Today is officially a city holiday that I live in. It is Michael Cera's day, or today you can call it Happy Allen Day.
Because he's from Brampton, right?
He is from the mean streets of Brampton.
There you go.
Yes.
So they're celebrating. Brampton is celebrating one of their favorite sons, Michael Cera.
We'll see. As for the scary verse in the HOA competition, so I was not very fond of how the last episode ended off. I thought that was kind of corny. I do like the effort in terms of this HOH competition, which we'll go into more detail about. The transporting back thing. Ooh, yikes. That could have been done a little bit better, but beggars can't be choosers when they attempt to up the production and effort costs when it comes to these competitions.
Yeah, well, I guess they've updated a little bit. They're committing to the theme, maybe too much so. Is that or is it all in the spirit of Big Brother?
I feel like you can you never go the full way, right? You never go the full way, right? So you need to, like, who cares if it's the scary verse or the scramble verse? Like, if it was like we're in the it's oh, we're in their scary mode or scary, you know, the dial has gone to scary in terms of what the situation is. It could be neutral, scary, scramble, right? Just like four directions, right?
Yeah.
And that would be fine. You don't have to call it a verse or try to
It's
like,
a multiverse theme. They're committed to
oh
the theme.
Lord.
If they're going to do a theme, don't you want them to commit to the theme?
We'll see how long it lasts. This is week 2. Usually about 4 weeks in, they just get tired of it and just scrap it.
Yeah, we'll see. Scary
So
verse coming
dumb.
for you. Okay, they even had their backgrounds changed out in their confessionals in the DR.
One round down, and the Nether Gorgon has already taken 3 people. Now there are fewer places to hide.
The Nether Gorgon. I love Bowie Jane saying Nether Gorgon.
When I hear nether, I think of like it's your nether region.
Yeah, of
Like,
course. I think they mean it that way too.
so the ass gorgon is coming for people.
I think
We're in
so.
the ass realm.
Yeah, this whole Gorgon thing, the Nether region.
Welcome to the Nether region, the most terrifying domain in the Scaryverse, and home to me, the Nether Gorgon.
Nether
When
Gorgon.
you see that clip, right, and you continue on, you see Heisem kind of duck his head in the shadows and like laugh into Matt's like chest, right? Because it's so ridiculous. The funny thing is, and this is a little inside baseball, Matt has very poor hearing. So when they do stuff like this, he can't necessarily hear all of it.
He doesn't
So-
care. He's committed to the part. He was fully acting. I would looked at Matt a few times, and Matt was just like, "I'm terrified. I'm in the scary verse. I don't know what's happening." Matt didn't care. I assumed they were giving Matt like subtitles on cards or something.
So they gave him the script. So he read through the script.
Okay, but after, like, not live, like when they were reading.
I think they probably gave him the rules beforehand because that's a whole lot of exposition that they provided in that standing.
It'd be better if I
position.
could read it, because trying to hear that that Nether Gorgon and like through that filter was hard. Like whatever
it
the
was
hell
terrible.
that voice modulator. It was okay. This whole thing, having to go around and go to certain spots and like
It's
every episode.
It's Clued musical chairs. That's
Yeah.
basically it.
This is a competition. Wasn't that? It was like, I don't know. It was kind of fun, but at times I thought it was just so corny. But it's so bad it's good. I guess it was kind of the place I kept going back and forth in my mind on.
You know what I would have loved if there was one person who just was not invested in this whole gimmick and was like, "Oh no, I've got to find the chain before the Nether Gorgon finds me," and just casually walking to the next location. Oh no, they got me! Just walk into the portal, right?
Yeah.
Like I would have laughed. Okay. Before we even start,
Corey looked terrified. Actually, the opposite. Corey
yeah,
looked really
he
tough.
bought into it. Right, the option was given to Riley: either she leaves or she possibly stays in another region forever. She should have stayed.
She could have stayed, right? Yeah, like because they wouldn't keep her forever.
No, I don't think so.
No, maybe for prolonged stay.
For long. Anyways, so breaking down the rules, the Nether Gorgon will provide a couple of clues informing where he won't attack, and the contestants will then have to search this neighborhood set for spots that are available, and with the clues there, find where the safe places are. If they land on a spot that isn't considered safe, then the Nether Gorgon will attack them, and they will be kicked out of the Nether realm.
Kicked out. Well, okay, yes, that was how it worked. And okay. So long story short, it came down to Jared and Heisem, and the two, both from different sides of the house. There's two alliances, and all the DRs were basically like, this side wants this side to win, this side wants whoever was aligned with either of those people. the younger people versus the older people, basically. And so Jared thinks he knows it. He picks the door. He picks the wrong door. He gives Heisem the win. Heisem was just like, I wasn't even ready to guess yet, but okay. Because and so Jared had a 50-50 chance of getting guessing right, and he guessed wrong.
So he got the rules is pick the door number 4, but what he missed was don't pick the door number 4
that ends in 4.
Ends in 4.
His house started with 4, so or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was like he had it backwards. So he handed Tyson the win. And let's just have a moment here to celebrate Tyson.
Stop. Oh Lord. So
Come
bad.
on, you got to do that.
So bad.
He's now targeted Riley and Cameron, but he was also considering Matt. I think that this all made sense. This all was logical. This all seemed like good gameplay tonight. I thought that this was actually a pretty good episode in some ways.
Ooh, I would disagree, especially what happened on the feeds. And the reason for that, and I'll be very quick with this, is what we were getting from the feeds is Heisem was very interrogative when talking to people. Yeah. So he did not suffer any type of fools. So he would like sit people down. Like when nominations came up on the screen, right? He literally just stood up and he's like, okay, I'm going to start the one-on-ones now. Corey, you're first, right? Like he's like that. Sits down and he's like, okay, Corey, I know you were in a person alliance. Can you name the other members of the alliance? Those type of questions. Who's your? Do you like this person? Oh yeah, I like this person. Are you saying that person's your number one? Like very pointed and direct questions to all these people. People were nervous and shook. Right? And I don't believe the television show did a good enough job of how aggressive Heisem was in his interviews.
So are you allowed to be aggressive when you're a
it's just a personality being portrayed, and there was a reason why people were like scared.
Right, yeah, because he's kind of like direct at the very least, right, to put it nicely. Yes. So he's a doctor, right? That's his profession.
Yeah.
Heisem? Yeah, he's a geriatric physician. Used to being sort of I'm sure he used to being pretty authoritative, sort of direct. With a bedside manner to a degree, I'm sure.
Sally, you didn't take your meds last week. I talked to you before about this.
Told you, Sal. He works in Seattle. He's kind of maybe he's on Grey's Anatomy. He's like he's just one of those kinds of doctors. Very dramatic. There's music behind him when he talks, like
Snow Patrol starts playing in the background.
Right. But like if you're in his alliance right now, you're sitting pretty good, right? He's
of course.
He's getting all his blood on his hand. He's taking all the heat of the alliance.
He's making these people squirm, and everyone he's like the best bad cop. Like anyone else just seems like a good. It's like, oh man, he's coming into you hard. Like you're coming across is great in terms of picking up people.
Well, didn't you say on Thursday, like when we were talking about like who would be an interesting HOH this week? I think you said Heisem, right? So
I didn't know he won, but I was hoping.
You got kind of what you wished for here. And has it met your expectations so far?
So even before last week on Thursday, I stated what I want to see from this season and how it's kind of shaping up is I want some back and forth, right? And he's the perfect person to have it swing in the other direction.
Kick this war off, right? And
yeah, because he's so aggressive that there's going to be some kind of retaliation the following week, right?
Right. Let's say, I don't know, Corey wins next week or Blue, for instance.
Yeah.
Or even
Matt or Jag.
Matt or Jag, yeah, or any of those people, right? Like, see what they do next, right?
It'd be interesting. Does he go after Heisem? Do they go after Jared, which we later see this episode? There might be a reason to.
Yeah. Don't you also find it interesting that these two sides are going on, and then you got this whole Jared Suri thing sort of on the side, where they're on two sides, but nobody knows they're except for Izzy knows that they're their mother and son. So
Despite what we're learning is lots of hints being dropped, and people are just disregarding or not realizing it, not putting two and two together,
yeah,
as
well,
Christian kind of told us.
yeah, like people. Well, that was. Has there been any update on that? Do we believe it?
I have not heard anything yet.
There's any more? No, the cat is not out of the bag officially.
Nope.
At least.
Everyone else is focused on what's happening in the house, which worst thing is that this season becomes a Suri and Jared this is the secret kind of thing. Right now the house is interesting enough and dynamic enough. That's not important, right? Maybe when things die down in a couple weeks, right? And then
Right.
that bomb gets revealed, it propels the season, for that middle period where it's like, oh my gosh, it's just so stagnant, right? So
Right.
we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Like I thought it was all right. What else is there? What else was there to sort of touch upon in the episode proper?
Okay, before I get into what's happening, let's see. We start seeing Heisem has conversations with what we see first is with Matt, right? And what we haven't really seen, and I kind of
that
mentioned
was
it
the first one.
previously.
It was a pretty good
Yeah.
conversation, I thought. Like
Yeah.
for both, even though I think Heisem's very direct, so at least like you can't. Even though he's like, yeah, I'm like we're on opposite sides, and I'm thinking about putting you up, and he asks some direct questions about this alliance and whatever else. And I think I don't think any of this is bad gameplay on his part. So I thought Matt responded pretty maturely and calmly, and it was fine.
Matt and Heisem have a pretty good relationship, as I mentioned in a previous episode, because Heisem also has hearing problem and is very close to Matt in that regard, and having an understanding of what he's going through. Their conversation was much longer. Obviously, it was cut for content, but it was along those lines where it's like very direct questions. Now, in the episode, it was shown first, but it was actually 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth conversation that Heisem had, because he talked to Corey, then Cameron, then Jag, then America, then Matt. What we did see is Matt, and we saw Cameron, and then later on we saw other ones.
Okay, and so how did those all play out for you in terms of like how they play on the show in this episode?
Well, I would have rathered if we got like a super cut of like direct questions and people being uncomfortable being asked it. That would have been great. Like, obviously, the Riley conversation is what we really wanted and needed to see.
Yeah. Okay, so Riley was okay. How about her freaking out in this episode? How did you feel about how that played out tonight?
I think this is going to be that's who the character is. That's who Riley is that she's very emotional, and unfortunately, due to members in her alliance, she's kind of screwed, right? Based upon like she has this scarlet mark, especially when it comes to Heisem and Izzy, that she was gutting for them.
What about her whole moment tonight with Jared, where she was like standing with her in the door, and she was like the bathroom, and he she was just like begging him, like, I saved you last week, you owe me back, and he's like, chill, I haven't made my decision yet, you got to calm down.
She's a very emotional player. Look, let's be honest with ourselves. Jared should return the favor to Riley, right? That's the expectation if they were really working together.
Right.
But they're not.
But he's
right?
He's kind of working with her, but he's not enough to care this much. Not enough to if he did do this, and Suri told him this, right? He goes, his mom's like, hey, if you draw this line, then you are potentially a nominee now.
Okay, hold on. Dave, Jared is not with the family. He is a double agent.
I know he's not really in the professors.
He's He's like their 8th member.
He's the 8th professor.
Yes.
Okay, I'll accept this.
Okay. So it wasn't the matter. It was all navigating the fact that, how are they going to not send Riley off? And he was kind of left in a situation where he's never going to look good. Right. So it was a losing battle. He should, in terms of, returning the favor, should have done that to Riley. Once Riley didn't get it, it went to Jag. I felt like he should have had a conversation with Heisem, and Heisem should have said, "I told Jared not to send these three people because I'm going to possibly be nominating them, and if one of those go, I'm going to put Jared up." Right? That would at least give Jared the excuse of saying, "Hey, I can't be put up 2 weeks in a row."
Okay. Yeah. All right. So,
But I'm agreeing with you in the sense that it looks bad, and he looked like bad in the situation where, if we're going by appearances, you're supposed to be helping Riley, helping that side of the house, and it looked really sketch.
but is this alliance now the family, Jared or not? Is it going to survive this week, or and continue?
We could talk about it in spoilers, so you got to wait until we get to the end.
Okay, but if let's say you didn't know about the spoilers, Jaemeel, and you were just hypothetically spitballing here, do you feel like that this, in general, alliances of younger people like this who might get the first shot at them and have to figure out how to recover?
I think that the alliance was built poorly in the first place, right? And it seems like they added people without really having an understanding of who was in the alliance to begin with, which is why the professors are doing so much better because of the I shouldn't say consolation, but the sectioning off of information. Bowie doesn't know everything that's going on, right? Right?
Bowie's one of the bye-bye bitches.
Does Bowie know everything that's going on, though? I don't get the impression that she does. Red doesn't know everything that's going on.
No.
Neither does Heisem.
Just Sari?
Yeah.
So who's running the show? Sari and Felicia?
Sari, Felicia, Izzy, and Jared.
Izzy and
right?
Jared? Okay.
Well, in terms of where the information is coming from, Jared's supplying a lot of information. Right? Who's he supplying it to? Izzy and Sari.
Where does
right?
Nicole fall into this equation?
Nicole is very close with Cameron.
Cameron's but Cameron's not in the professors.
I know, but Cameron is leaking information as well, right? About the other side, about the family style, right?
Family style.
He's leaking that information to every single soul.
Right. So so Cameron's also a nominee here. But Riley seems more vulnerable or more targeted, at least by Heisem. And is that we imagine that the house would go along with what Heisem wants?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Okay.
Yeah.
Was there anything but have-nots this week at all?
I did not see anything or hear anything about that.
That seems not to happen. Not that I care that much, but it seems like
if they do it every 2 weeks, it's I would say it's fine.
Okay.
It's a long season. Every 2 weeks, why not?
Do it or don't do it, I guess. It's just
really, you would rather it every week?
I would rather it never. But if I would,
never.
Yeah, but if you're going to do it, just always do it.
I think every 2 weeks, just pick a schedule and stick to the schedule is what I believe.
Okay, well, we got different opinions on the use of have-nots in the Big Brother proper. Tell us what you think in the comments. Okay. So, is there anything else in this episode that's worth saying? I thought that it was kind of a straightforward one, other than this whole family style was all panicking. They were all running around, like you said. Like Cameron's leaking like a sieve.
So,
you know,
okay,
and so we
I'm
gotta
ju-
get to the veto. So
yeah, I'm just gonna run through all the stuff that happened in the house prior to the nomination ceremony, right?
all right.
Just so it's just easier. I don't have to mention it during the spoiler. So the handful when Heisem won was hoping to push America and Corey as targets for Heisem, right? To persuade him to go after, right? Which seemed very dumb because Heisem knows who was initially targeting him from Family Styles, which was Riley. So
Yeah.
trying to shift it to American Corey for what reason made no sense.
And why are you even bothering to target Heisem so early, Riley? Because you obviously didn't put him up. You couldn't put him up last week. So why even put his name out there? Why even like do all that? Like it
Well,
just seems
she mentioned
pointless.
it to her group, but once again, they joined up so quickly. Like she didn't know who was in our group,
It doesn't even matter who's
right?
in your group. You don't even need to talk about who you're gonna put up
Well,
before.
she could have talked to Jag and Blue about it if that's your core team.
Who gave the information back to Heisem ultimately?
Cameron,
Okay, so she shouldn't have told Cameron. Is the real moral? Of this?
she shouldn't have said it outside of her core people,
Okay,
right?
all right.
Don't send it to the larger group. That's like if McCall randomly says she's coming after America. It's like, what power do you have come next week, right? Especially if that information is out there, right? Anyone could take that and use it as a reason to get rid of you.
I don't even know if you're Riley. You even need to tell Jag at this point. Like it's not even necessary. Like
Yeah,
it's just,
hey, I hope
you have nothing else to talk about, so you're gonna probably talk about this at some point, and
just
it
go
gets
like,
back.
yeah, just go, hey, next week I hope we have power so we can start like taking out some targets.
Yeah, leave
Boom.
it there. Leave it
Yeah.
there. You know, but you don't have because ultimately this getting back to Heisem has put the target on her. She's and so she was HOH last week, and normally being the first to HOH is fine because you can just take out a common target, which she did, but ultimately she felt the need to like solidify her power and her long-term alliance with this HOH, which I think is where she played her hand too hard, and this is kind of why it's yo-yoed back at her here.
Yeah.
Kind of what Frenchie did too, like a couple seasons ago, And so I think that's kind of the lesson here is like, don't do more of the McRae style. Let that alliance form. They're going to add you to it because you're already an HOH, and then just be cool. I think be not even like at the top of that alliance. I think it's ultimately the best play if you're playing the first HOH.
So, as I mentioned before, Heisa was very direct in terms of his nominations. He wanted to send a clear message. He stated that he believes Riley was picking sides early and respects her as a player and wanted to directly confront her for targeting him. So this is an interesting concept that came up, and just wondering what your thoughts on it are. Heisem believes that that backdooring is cowardly and not honorable, right? Which is why he immediately put up his targets. Do you agree or disagree with this concept?
He thinks backdooring is not honorable.
Yes. And is cowardly.
Yeah. What can you say to that? Yes.
It is not honorable.
Not honorable.
Okay. So, Taryn, good,
Taryn Armstrong.
Taryn Armstrong, the legendary feed correspondent for Rob Cesternino, had this to say on this concept, and I thought it was a very astute statement or observation. People in power usually try to state a specific type of game style as being honorable or being the right way to play, right? And typically that also aligns with whatever gameplay style that they're traditionally good at. So they're creating this narrative that I'm playing an honorable game, whether or not it is or isn't.
Yeah, you're just saying like this is the way I want you to play because this is the way I'm going to play, and so if I understand, if you're playing by my rules, then I'm going to do better, which of course you would. So
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that there's often, especially in week one, there's that desperation to have the HOH's like approval. So you'll say anything. Week two, I think people are a little bit more settled in, don't feel as much of a need to kiss the ass of the HOH, but still do it a bit. And as you go along and along, that goes away. But I think that Heisen being such a strong personality, and because he's going against these younger guys who are just like, what do I do? What do I do? A lot of them recruits. I think that's why we're getting this like scared and frantic effect.
Yeah. We got a little bit of Blue as a narrator in this episode. Kind of the first time we saw that, so that was interesting.
Blue, yeah. Well, and then she's like, that
And
was
America.
so scary. Yeah, I think Blue's got a personality we haven't seen too much on the show. There's a lot of people who have had almost no diary room sessions.
Yeah.
Corey was barely in this episode. Is there just still too many house guests? There's only 15. I don't understand why we can't get people into the
I don't
show.
even think it's too many house guests. I think there also isn't that much that is towards, you want to keep pushing the narrative, right? You want to keep pushing the narrative of the week, and sometimes Miss Felicia isn't necessarily the the story or the proper narrator for this aspect of the story.
Okay, but sorry, I lost.
You're trying to think of who's a good example of someone that you haven't really seen that much of.
Well, I just think, every episode they spend so much time, at the beginning of the episode, saying previously on Big Brother, these people and these people, are aligned with these people, and then this thing happened here, and then I'm like, this, and then once the episode starts proper, they basically retell us that all that same information again, who's aligned with who and who's worried about being targeted by who, and da. And so by the time we get through all of that in an episode, there's not enough time for us to really see more interactions with the house guests, more diary room sessions, people talking about who they're paranoid about or who they're not. I feel like we could have a little bit more of that in the edit.
I think that's Big Brother, and I think that's Big Brother in general. They're so used to that type of storytelling concept, that storytelling method, that it is very grating. Where it's previously information that I'm gonna retell you again, but this time from the custom. It's last week, we were in power, but this week we're not. And even though the narrator already talked about it on the previously, I'm just going to mention again from my point of view and how I'm in desperate need of help.
And I'm going to tell you this again after the commercial break.
Yeah.
And then we're going to explain the rules of the game. And right after that, I'm going to explain the rules to you again in the diary room. Yeah. And then they do the game, and then I'm like, okay, but that takes up so much time.
It does.
So do you just want to watch these episodes for the parlor games, and who guessed the right puzzle number of bones and rats and mice and whatever the hell they were doing tonight? It's just is that just a game? Am I just being cranky?
No, you're not right. I think, but this is a long-standing issue. I honestly think that they should just put a block of text and have someone, mention the rules, and not have a stupid, I'm the Nether Gorgon and I'm going to tell you the rules, and then someone from the show is going to tell you the rules again. All right, just do it once. Put a block of text so I could read through it as well if I'm not sure. Right. So I could just rewind and pause it if necessary. Right?
Compared to even the Survivor challenges, Jaemeel, I'd rather watch those, because these Big Brother ones are mostly snoozers for me. I wouldn't even care if they just told me we did a competition and Heisen won. Congrats.
I would hate for that to happen. That being said, I got really bored of this one pretty quickly.
It went a little long because there was so much explanation. I couldn't understand what that Nether Google guy was saying. What was his name?
Nether Gorgon. It's like it's like a Demogorgon, but it's Nether.
Nether Gorgon.
This is insane. The Nether Gorgon is going to give us clues on where it's safe to hide. Then attack the areas that aren't safe, and you do not want to be there.
It's so rare for Bowie Jane to have her mouth closed, because usually she's always showcasing teeth.
Yeah, she's always like, "Hello, how are you today? I'm 34."
Yes.
I'm liking Bowie Jane, but again, like we get a little bit of her explaining these rules of the game and saying Nether Gorgon, which I find fun. But we haven't really got to know her yet. I just feel like I wish that there was a little bit more. Maybe this is what live feeds are for. I miss the After Dark. Big Brother After Dark used to be really good for this kind of stuff. Seeing more like just how are these people living together? You know,
Yeah.
like how are they going about just being in a house for this many days together?
I agree.
I kind of gets lost sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not a hotel per se.
So that's it for the episode itself.
Okay, so
we have a bunch of live feeds. So
all right, let's get into our spoilers section. We're going to be talking about what's been happening, what happened after what happened in this episode. So if you don't want to know, you need to get out of here. But if you do want to know, you need to stay and listen and find out what's happening. And but if you're leaving, we'll see you next time. And but we're not even going to plug the shows until the end. We're going to save that for you, special people who are going to stay around for the spoilers. Okay, and the spoilers.
all right. So let's go into it. So you have Suri promised Riley to vote for her, right?
Vote
And
to keep her?
Yeah, and told Riley that Cameron told her everything. Now, despite Matt telling Hisam that he wouldn't use the veto, Matt tells Riley that he will use the veto to save her, and he believes that Corey will go up in her place. Jag returns from the Nether region, Nether realm, and Bowie Jane takes his place. Jay states that the alliance. Jag states
who decided that? Who decided that Bowie Jane?
I think Jag decided, and I think she volunteered.
Okay.
Right. Now, Jag also states that the alliance is over, family style.
It's over.
Yeah. Blue and Jag believe that Riley might not be savable, and the two shake on a final 2 deal.
Jag and who?
And Blue.
Jag and Blue? Okay. Well, they were already in crowd control together, right?
Yes. Jag feels that Jared is sus because he warned Jared that Riley is at risk and that it was seemingly like neither the Nether region provided protection. Okay, so we go into the veto picks. So by default, Hisam, Riley, and Cameron are being picked for the veto.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Riley has the luck of the Irish on her side. Matt, American, Blue get picked as the other people.
Matt, America, and
Blue. Yes.
Wow, all from that. Okay, all right.
All except Hisam. Jag wants to start a new alliance with Jared, Suri, Felicia, and Blue.
Okay.
At this point, which was Saturday, everyone knows that Cameron spilled about family style. Hisam's plan overall is Riley's his main target. Now, plan B isn't really finalized. Now, if Cameron comes down, Corey would go up. Now, if Riley goes down, Matt will be put as the replacement. Okay. Red and Cameron have a final 2 deal. Okay. And at this point, talking to Hisam and talking what's going on, Suri is very disappointed that Cameron isn't being considered more as being the focal target. Right? She plans on trying to get Izzy and Riley to make amends because there was a lot of tension that we've seen in previous episodes between the two, and hoping that will kind of smooth things out with the house with Riley, and more of the attention going to be focused on Cameron. Right? Now, feeds were down for a long time. Right? How long? From Saturday at 1 p.m. to almost midday on Sunday. So 19 hours. This is Big Brother Canada type of down.
The veto itself? Is that why they did it?
We don't know. But they did come back from veto. And the winner was?
Hisam.
He won again.
Beat all of them anyway.
He still beat them.
He beat all of them. Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh, he's
He put such a target on his back
he's
now.
such a target.
Huge. Like he wins his own veto. Okay.
And I can just imagine Cere's like, damn it, no.
Yeah. Well, he's a lightning rod, but you can only take him out once, right? So
Yeah. This is if Matt won, Suri would have been so happy. Because Matt would have taken down Riley. Riley and Matt wouldn't be eligible. Jag wouldn't be eligible, so she would either have to put up Corey or Blue. And most likely she'll put up Corey. Heisa would put up Corey, and it'd be Corey and Cameron would definitely go home.
Right, and so that would be a pretty good result. I would agree with that.
But now with Heisa winning, he's not going to change his noms.
No, he won't change his noms, and so who would be the likely vote out here?
Well, that's the thing though, because Jared feels kind of obliged to save Riley, even though he didn't commit to it. But Suri has, and if Suri has, most likely that Jared will, right? And if Suri and Jared are going to do it, then most likely Felicia and Izzy will. So that's 4 people already, plus Matt. That's 5, right? Right. Plus Jag and thing. That's 6, 7, right? Isn't that 13 people are voting this week?
12 vote this week.
I thought it was 14 last. Oh, nope, you're right. Luke went out. So yes, 12. If it's 12 and 7 people potentially, this is just some quick math, could be voting to keep Riley, then Riley could be safe.
Riley's my draft pick, but do you feel like even if Riley does survive this week, she's going to win the game?
I wouldn't not say so. Look, I don't think Riley has really shown her stuff because she got the HOH kind of by I don't think she won it. She won a challenge that people would respect, right? Mm-hmm. No one's going to say Riley's a comp beast or can win competitions, right? I don't think it's well enough that competition is well enough respected, especially first week. If she wins another competition, then people go, Riley can win competitions, right? Right? People believe that Jared could win competitions because he's been second so many times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? You're right. But second is not first.
Second is not first. You are correct, right? So, but has she put trust in the wrong people? So strategically, she's not, she doesn't really have stuff in her favor. So I don't think she's shown her stuff. Cameron, on the other hand, has shown that he will, on the drop of a hat, will absolutely sell out whomever just to keep going.
Yeah, well, Cameron. Okay, so you say Cameron and Red have a final 2?
Yeah.
Okay, well, not that that's that surprising, but because they're on opposite sides technically, right?
Technically, but if that other side is imploding, why not lock up some of the people that are going to be debris?
Right, because because the professors won't last either. Because
I don't think so either, especially if they save Riley. Because if you heist them, how can you trust some of these people that you were very clear about what you wanted as HOH, and you're on the same side, and they save your target?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this isn't Survivor, right? Like, people like to keep their alliances secret for as long as possible in Big Brother, or like under the radar. So it's
pretty evident who's with who.
Right. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So these alliances can't last. They're gonna have to be blown up.
The bigger alliances.
Yeah. Which the smaller ones, like Jag and Blue, whatever. That's probably
crowd control. Could still be a thing. Bye bye bitches could still technically be a thing, right?
Right.
Because couldn't Bye Bye Bitches just easily transition to include Jag and Blue? Or Jag, Blue, and Riley? Because Riley, regardless of what her initial alliance, loves Suri and Miss Felicia.
Jag's gonna be a Bye Bye bitch?
I'm just saying, if they make another super alliance, but it includes those individuals instead of Red and Heisem.
Yeah, maybe. Like I guess there's a lot of different combinations that could happen here.
Yes.
Now. So, like a lot of different alliances, like some combination of the professors and family style will now be happening on all fronts.
At the end of the day, it's like, do I believe there's going to be a steamroll so far this season? No. Which a million times I'm happy then. I'm a million times happy.
Right.
No steamrolls.
No steamrolls. Yeah. Well, but okay. So let's say next week, Suri wins. Then what?
Honestly, shouldn't she get out Heisem eventually?
But like now, like if she were to be HOH next week, she should get a Heisem that week.
Because, okay, the reason why I think about it this way is if you know that you got like someone like Riley, if you save them in your corner, right? And because you have Riley, you also have Jag and Blue.
Right.
It's absolutely definitely worth to get rid of Heisem. Because if anyone finds out that Jared is your son, of all the people in the household, who's probably going to take it the worst for the subterfuge? Probably Heisem.
Right. Yeah. Probably him or Corey maybe.
And Corey would probably be okay because his brother was on Survivor.
Right.
Wait, hold on. We did not mention this last week on during the live eviction.
Okay.
Did you catch Corey's dig to his brother?
Not exactly. No.
When he did his vote, he voted for Kirsten.
Mm-hmm.
As he was leaving, he said, "Hey Zach, longer than you." When he was leaving,
Longer
he
than
lasted.
you.
Yeah, he lasted longer than a week in Survivor.
Barely. He almost got.
But still,
only because my fellow draft pick Riley saved him, and
Yes.
then but what that was in return back with the other person she saved, Jared. So it's all news.
Still, he made it.
He made it. He is the greater Wurdenberger in terms of reality TV results. So I'll know it. Let it be known. Anything else from the live feeds and the updates?
As of right now, no. But stay tuned to Wednesday. We'll probably have a whole ton more and solidify what's going to be happening during the eviction ceremony.
So there's nothing else about like who we should hate and who we should love in the house.
Are you hoping for that? I think the television. Let's just be happy that there's at least ambiguity in the house in terms of who we should like and dislike.
Who are the villains? Who are the heroes?
Aren't they all villains and heroes? Like Suri, technically, is a hero and a villain. So is Jared.
Yeah, well, on Heroes versus Villains Survivor, she was a hero, but she could have been a villain.
Yeah.
I thought that Parvati should have been a hero, and I thought that Suri should have been a villain. But that's just me. It was the other way around in that season.
I think marketing made the decision of it to be vice versa.
Right.
It feels like a marketing decision.
Look back, guys, on the Survivor Heroes versus Villains. It was like back in 2007 or something like that.
Jeez, so long ago.
It's a while back. Anyway, so that's our coverage tonight of Big Brother 25, episode 5 from the week 2 HOH. Thanks for being with us and listening to us talk about the spoiler section as well. You should also check out our other content here on the channel. We also cover things like Survivor and Big Brother Canada. And we do some Marvel, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe entries, whether they be on Disney Plus or movies. Secret Invasion, most recently, we talked about that, and you should check it out because who's to say? Maybe we loved it, maybe we hated it. Who's to know? We are part of a greater federation of podcasts called the United Federation of Podcasts, which features many channels, just like Super Mario Brothers Podcasting, like our Live Long and Podcast channel, where we talk about Star Trek all the time. We have many divisions. One such division talks about Star Trek episodes. Like we have our Enterprise rewatch, Star Trek Enterprise. We've been going back and watching. We looked at a lot of the old shows, like the original series, the movies. We're trying to finish up Deep Space Nine one day. And then we also have we just finished up Star Trek Strange New Worlds season 2, and I think, and then Lower Decks is coming in a few weeks. Will be later this month. The newest season of Lower Decks will be coming out. So look out for that over on our Live Long and Podcast channel. Plus, check this Wednesday. We're doing a villains summit on Star Trek. We're gonna be okay. Like in this villains summit, Jaemeel. Okay, like Davan, he insisted that he's like the canister that fell onto Worf in the episode Ethics and broke his spine.
Counts as what?
It counts as one of the greatest villains of all time. I'm like,
oh my god!
Oh my god! Like,
The aluminum carbon rod also in the running somehow.
Yeah. There's just like there's some silliness going on. So if you want to hear that stuff, check out Live Long and Podcast in the near future. Wednesday, Trivial Debates is a channel where our movies, TV, sports, and more. There's a host, 3 contestants, and everyone argues until there's a winner. Check out that channel. Lots of great episodes and fights. Eamon on Track, a music podcast by my son Eamon, where he talks about music albums with guests. I was on there this morning along with Jeff Mader talking about The Last Waltz from 1978, the soundtrack to the film of the same name from Marty Scorsese. And, also timely with Robbie Robertson having passed on August 9th, the lead guitarist and songwriter from the band. And we had the Hellbound podcast with Michael Chan, Alex Blackburn. It usually comes out Wednesdays. They're right on hiatus at the moment, but they talk about horror and all kinds of great stuff. The horror. X-Rated, the animated X-Men, the animated review show about that great cartoon from the 90s with Davan, Skelhorn, and Audrey Mayette talking about the old episodes and soon to be the new episodes on X-Men 97 coming on Disney Plus. Plus, they have interviews with creators, producers, and voice cast. Check that one out. And Andre does his own separate interviews called the Graphic Histories podcast, interviewing people with different facets of entertainment, comic books, television, movies, and whatever. Hold Up, a movie podcast by Davan and
The World Mind, Chris Murphy.
World Mind. I'm sorry, it's late.
I know.
This damn golf delayed the episode. Hold Up, a movie podcast. They're going to be talking about time travel episodes, not this week, but next week with Jeff Mader, including Sphere. So,
they're also scheduling next season's episodes. Did you get a chance to have some picks dropped?
I did not. I think I'm one day gonna go back for an episode. I'm not sure when exactly.
I picked the music episode.
I'm supposed to be doing like the alien episode or the space episode, and we picked some movie like from Sean Connery did back in the old days. Like I don't know
what not Outlander. What was it?
Maybe I think it was that. Maybe it was an Outlander. I think that's the one we were gonna do. So anyways, lots of great content. Jaemeel, got anything else to say before we sign off? You looks like you're on your own on Wednesday. I'm at the Villains Summit,
which is fine.
We'll do
our best to hold the fort down until you come back.
I don't know if I should tell Foster or not that I'm not going to be there because then he'll panic.
There's no need to panic. Everything will be fine.
I know it will be fine, but anyway,
just a final thought I can end things with. As I mentioned before, today is Michael Cera Day, which is always an important day that I always think back to, especially back in 2010 of August 13th. And that day, many individuals had 3 choices that weekend. And that weekend, they had a choice of either Eat, Pray, Love, The Expendables, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And unfortunately, a large majority of people took the wrong choice, which was not Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So anyone here who knows someone who didn't go and see Scott Pilgrim versus the World and instead watched one of the other 2 movies, Eat, Pray, Love, or The Expendables, you have my permission to just give them a little shot on the arm and then look at them and shake your head in disappointment. to showcase the disappointment that I share for those individuals who did not go and support Edgar Wright's Scott Pilgrim vs. the World on August 13th, 2010. That's it.
I'm with you, Jaemeel. I didn't see the movie till much later. Actually, I saw it like 2 years later, but it was good. But I didn't see it that weekend. Sorry. So anyway, I'm one of those individuals, perhaps. But there has to.
You didn't go and see the Expendables that weekend.
I definitely didn't. I didn't go see the Expendables. I didn't go see.
And you didn't go see Eat, Pray, Love either.
Definitely not. So
we're good.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll say good evening. Thanks for being with us again, and we'll see you. Where will we see you?
On Wednesday. I will see them on Wednesday. You'll see them on Thursday.
No, Jaemeel, you'll see us on the flip
Stop.
side.
See you on the flip side.
Oh my God. Oh Lord.
Welcome to the Nether region, the most terrifying domain in the Scaryverse, and home to me, the Nether Gorgon. It is within my terrifying playground, where one of you will become head of household.
From outside the Big Brother house, I'm Julie Chen Boonvez. Love one another. Good night.